Oh, happy Monday, Prime Sports World, and welcome back to another edition of the Prime. We're going to be breaking down some old faces in some new places, including a trade that broke this morning that we're going to get into, including a trade that happened on Friday as well that we probably should have covered on Friday, but I was. So we're going to cover it today. It's one of the bigger trades in maybe NFL history. Depending on how you feel about it. I've been David Huffman right there, TJ Hopkins. If you're looking for some free content on Facebook, YouTube, and for the first time, Twitter, I have created a Twitter account. It's PSW_David. So if you want to Twitter, I don't have a single follower yet. So if you guys want to check me out on Twitter, I greatly appreciate it. I made
Well, send us
Where's
your
your
Twitter
Sports World?
and send us your Twitter in the group, and I'll be sure to find you and add you and follow
For
you and
sure.
all that good stuff.
PSW_David. That is my Twitter handle. But yeah, I also want to thank our friends over there, Rouge Bear, for sponsoring us here at Prime Sports World. Let your presence be felt. Go and check out their spring collection. I'll drop the link to their website on our Facebook page, along with the NFL Supreme Facebook page as well. TJ, interesting weekend of football. Football off the field, right? Pretty interesting.
Very.
Like, let's first start with the thing that happened this afternoon. So Matt Ryan is going to the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts in this trade, they receive Matt Ryan. The Falcons receive a third-round pick. The Colts take a third stab, bring in a quarterback to take them to the Super Bowl. They brought in Philip Rivers 2 years ago in free agency, traded Carson Wentz last year. Now they're going to give Matt Ryan a shot at this. How do you think Matt Ryan fits when it comes to the Indianapolis Colts?
uh, well, I'm kind of looking at this like what we said about Carson Wentz, because everybody said Carson Wentz was a good fit, considering what considering where they came from before Carson Wentz. Like it was a lot of, but even before Philip Rivers, it was Jacoby Brissett and whoever else they had. And then when they realized Philip Rivers couldn't make the deep throws like they wanted to, like he used to, like the Hail Mary throws, like they would bring in Jacoby Brissett to do that. So, but Philip Rivers was clearly at the tail end of his career, and I hope that the Colts don't turn into that kind of franchise for old quarterbacks. When you
It
think
certainly feels like
about,
that because we were joking around in the group chat, like, who else? Who are they gonna, if Matt Ryan doesn't work out, who are they going to roll out next? Like, they're going to bust out Jake Cutler or trade for Aaron Rodgers next offseason?
like it's, I mean, I don't. Me personally, I didn't like the fact that they were talking about and eventually did end up getting rid of Carson Wentz because again, you did what Philly did, like the exact same thing what Philadelphia did, and you used them as a scapegoat. Like you said, like it's Carson's fault that we came up short, and all the Carson Wentz naysayers are like, see, that just gave them the opportunity to say, see, we told y'all he wasn't the guy, and now you move on to Matt Ryan, who looks like he still has something left. Like the last 2 years in Atlanta have not been great for
I
him.
mean,
Like yeah, he's
statistically he's been okay.
statistically
But
he's like right. Yeah, statistically he's fine. He's been okay, but it hasn't equated to a lot of winning.
yeah, but he doesn't play defense for Atlanta
He
Falcons.
doesn't. No, he doesn't play defense. But when the other team scores, you get the ball, right? Like you
Yeah,
do get the
yeah.
ball, right? So hey, it is what it is. Like we kind of saw like the writing on the wall. Like what was it? The pandemic year. Like you blew a big lead to Dallas, right? Okay, yeah, the defense gave up a big lead, but you get the ball back and you can like keep them at arm's length. But all you got to do is score. Then you did it the following week, right? To Chicago, you had Chicago dead to rights. Trubisky gets benched for Nick Foles, and what happens? Another comeback in your house where Chicago scores, you get the ball back, and you didn't do anything with it, right? So he's probably going to get the best offensive line he's had since they went to the Super Bowl in
For
Atlanta.
sure. He's definitely had the best offense we had in a few years. I actually think Matt Ryan is a really good fit in Indianapolis. I was just looking at their roster. I mean, they haven't re-signed Hilton. I mean, the Michael Pittman Jr. is probably an upgrade over whatever he was dealing with at wide receiver, minus Calvin Ridley situation. Whatever he was dealing with Atlanta, even disrespect Russ Gage or those guys, but like Austin Doolin's a good player. Paris Campbell's a good player. They got Cutie, who's a good player. That's probably this no disrespect to Devontae Freeman or Tevin Coleman, but Jonathan Taylor is the best running back he's ever played with by far.
Yeah, and Devontae Freeman had some. He had some very good years in Atlanta, and
I mean,
hell,
he was the highest paid running back in football for a reason at one point.
and even before then, like think about who he had when he first got to the league. Like Michael Turner established himself as he kind of shook that tag of I'm just LaDainian Thompson's backup. Like no, I am a legitimate NFL running back when I get the same amount of carries that LT was getting. But I like, I mean, it's when you look at it, it's a tough situation. He's actually going into a very volatile situation, and not enough people are talking about it because Jim Irsay he's not a very patient person. He's not a patient person at all.
No,
Right? He
no,
feels
he's
he feels like he should have a couple more Super Bowls in his trophy case by now. And again, I state back to like no one could have prepared him for Andrew Luck just abruptly retiring the way that he did. And Jim Irsay, that's kind of on you, buddy. Like you failed to put a line around you. Like imagine Andrew Luck with the offensive line you have now.
well,
Andrew Luck,
Izzy's been so sure for so many years that Andrew Luck was going to come back. I think it seems pretty obvious that he's for sure done.
and he's done. He's done. Like anytime you get a lacerated kidney from playing football. Like I ain't never heard of a player. Maybe back in the old days when the rules were like down there barbaric like gladiator rules. Right? That's going like maybe
Players wore like paper helmets.
yeah like maybe then, but now it's like you got a lacerated kidney, right? Yeah, you're done. Irsay is upset at Frank Wright. Frank Wright knows his job is on the hot seat.
Well, if they don't make the playoffs this season, I for sure there's no way he keeps his job. I think this quarterback. I still think that Desmond Ritter is still a potential in the second round for this. Matt Ryan's not going to play forever. He's already
What
38, 39 years old.
So like yeah, like I mean I'm looking at it like this potentially is Matt Ryan's last hurrah. You know, like
Yeah, I think if this doesn't necessarily work out for him, I mean, he's probably going to be looking at hanging him up maybe potentially after the season because if he can't make it work in Indianapolis, that offensive line, that running game, I mean, it could just be a wrap for Matt Ryan.
like now the only way they come up short this go round is if the he doesn't have enough weapons. Like you said, like they haven't re-signed T.Y. Hilton. The tight end spot is a question mark. The only receiver that they have that's worth any credibility is the young dude,
Michael
Pittman.
Pittman Jr.
Michael
I mean, I
Pittman
do like
Jr.
QT they signed. He's a good player, but
He
he's
is.
more of
And
a slot type guy.
Pascal, they let him walk, right? He's in Philly
Right,
now.
right.
He signed a deal with Philly, I think,
Their
today.
running back,
Like
their wide receivers on the roster right now are Paris Campbell, who's a flyer, Ashton Doolin, who's also a flyer, Desmond Patton, and then none of these other guys.
so like what right now, like you're missing like that T.Y. Hilton. Like you need that route runner that you need that chain mover, right? You need that whether it's a slot guy like a T.Y. Hilton because T.Y. Hilton was a slot guy masquerading as a number one. T.Y. Hilton is T.Y. like and no power
I
to
mean,
him
it's not
because
out of the
he
realm of
did it.
possibilities they could re-sign him for cheap. I'm not sure what he thinks his value is at this point, especially since he spent most of the season on the IR last year, anyways. So it is potential that he could, they could get him fairly cheap back.
It is, but like that's another guy who could be, he's closer to the end than he is the middle. T.Y. Hilton is. You don't
Yeah.
know how much he has left, and he's been a very solid receiver for them. How would he fit? He's Matt Ryan's a pro's pro. Like you can't ask him to be more professional than what he is. Like this whole situation in Atlanta, it's been hell. It's been turmoil since that Super Bowl year. Like it's been crazy.
And Matt Ryan's
and
been the consummate pro. He's been the consummate locker room guy. I mean, he's been that guy.
like hasn't complained, hasn't said anything, hasn't demanded a trade, hasn't done anything, right? Like
Yeah, I
he's
mean,
just
he was just
like
basically going to water down the rest of his career, and then whatever happened, he was basically going to
he,
mentor whoever comes in after him. But
like
so yeah,
he's basically
I
yeah.
actually really like. I'm happy for Matt Ryan that he gets the opportunity to get out of Atlanta, gets the opportunity to be somewhere new and somewhere we could potentially compete because the AFC South is very winnable for whoever team. Like we're getting the
NFC
Titans.
South.
We'll talk to them about them in a few minutes here,
Oh,
but
the
like
AFC South. My bad. My bad. My bad.
yeah, AFC South, yeah,
Yeah,
AFC
it's
South. Like that's a very winnable division.
it is, and
And Matt Ryan becomes the best quarterback in the division, right?
yeah.
I
Like
mean,
we don't know
he's
where
better than
Deshaun.
Ryan Tannehill. I mean, that's really the only take
Yeah,
that's even a role
and
you think.
we have absolutely no clue what the hell is going on with Deshaun Watson because one day he's traded to Cleveland, the next Tony Busby, his attorney has come out and said, "Yeah, dude, nobody said anything to me." Right? Like no, like no team has contacted me. And for people to say like, "Who are you?" Like, I'm his lawyer, right? And he has 22 civil lawsuits that he's facing right now. So I kind of have to be in the loop with what's going on in his football career. Don't you think that makes sense? Because that makes sense to me. So Tony Busby has come out and said, like, yeah, no team has contacted him, Cleveland or anybody. So we have absolutely no clue what is going on with Deshaun Watson.
We'll get to that segue in a minute. From the Atlanta side of this, what does Atlanta do now at quarterback? I mean,
They
we
signed
talked about this.
Mariota.
Oh, they signed Marcus Mariota.
They signed to a 2 year deal.
I like that. I like that.
So it's telling me that they don't like Josh Rosen, and poor Josh Rosen, like just can't
He
catch
never
a
got a chance anywhere.
he just can't catch a break, man. Like just
He's
god
not even on
damn.
their roster anymore. So I mean, Felipe Franks, if they think he's the guy, I mean, Marcus Mariota for sure isn't the guy. I mean, do they draft somebody in the first round? Is that the direction you go if you're Atlanta, or do you wait until next year where the quarterback class is much better?
Is I mean, and we gotta wait. We gotta put a stick in that much better thing because we thought. I mean, well, this class is
It's
pretty.
true. It's true. I mean, we at this time we thought Sam Howell was going to be a top 10 pick. We thought Spencer Rattler was going to be a top 10 pick. Like all of those guys had pre-draft buzz. Like Kenny Pickett wasn't on anybody's radar before the season started.
No, no.
Yeah,
Kenny Pickett wasn't even a Heisman in the Heisman conversation, and then all of a
yeah.
sudden he's in it. And so if you're Atlanta, just hey, be prepared for the rebuild. You also got to ask the question of like, did Calvin really cross the line that you can't come back from? Right? Like he's playing it off as like, yeah, I'm only gone for a year, but dude, like you still kind of young to how these NFL circles work. Like gambling is to them the ultimate no-no,
I,
especially on the sport you play.
I
And
totally agree with you
like
on that.
so,
So
like
we'll see
we
what
don't.
happens with the Falcons. I don't think they'll draft a quarterback in this draft. I think they'll wait till next year. I think they'll roll with Marcus Mariota. They'll just see how it works out. This is
Well,
probably a team that's going to be taken in the top 10 again next season as well. And you
well,
can build up depth this draft with the offensive
and
line.
I don't think you sign him to a Mariota to a 2 year deal if that's not the case. You got to keep
Yeah,
in mind the Falcons head coach was his old
Arthur Smith.
offensive
Yep,
coordinator.
yep.
So it's a huge familiarity thing. So now Arthur Smith can run his offense the way he wants to because keep in mind Mariota, even though he's getting up in age now, he still got some mobility to him.
That's true. Moving on from this, we got the Deshaun Watson situation. So he is traded to the Cleveland Browns. I believe so.
Maybe.
The Browns are speculating to receive Watson and a 2024 sixth-round pick. The Houston Texans received 3 first-round picks this year's, next year's, and the year after. A 2023 third-round pick, 2 fourth-round picks, 2022 and 24. Watson receives a fully guaranteed 5-year, $230 million contract from Cleveland. We'll get to the suspension stuff later, and we'll get to the Baker Mayfield stuff here in a minute too. What what do we make of this trade for Watson to Cleveland?
They're desperate, man. It's it's what I've been saying. Like you can't have a team as talented as theirs from top to bottom and constantly come up short because of one position. Right? Unfortunately for them, unfortunately, it's the most important position in all of football. Like they treat it that way, right? The quarterback position is the end all be all for football, and they haven't been able to get over the hump because of that position. Say what you want. It is what it like. That's the truth. So them trading for Deshaun Watson like tells me like, hey, first off, we don't give a damn about this case
Baker.
or what he. We don't give a damn about Baker or what he has, or like we don't give a damn about Baker. Deshaun Watson to them and like to the Cleveland Browns, like, all right, the criminal stuff, like he's cleared of any criminal stuff. So in their eyes, he's good, right? The worst of the stuff is gone. That stuff is done. The civil stuff is just a matter of how much he gonna pay, and by the basis of this $230 million contract, he gonna have to pay a lot because because I don't like how everybody is just downplaying it. Like, see, I told y'all he was innocent. No,
This
22
this
civil.
entire situation makes me extremely uncomfortable because,
It,
like, he has the 22 allegations, but as soon as he's cleared from like the criminal stuff, every team and their mother was trying to put together a war chat. Like it was just over. Like, he's probably still going to face some sort of suspended, and the fact that Cleveland tried to upload it, like they tried to put this first year of this extension, so like the suspension wouldn't affect him all that much if he gets suspended for the full year next year.
right,
And not to mention Cleveland, like Baker, whatever. We're going to get to Baker Mayfield, but like Cleveland was like the least team that needed to make this trade. Like of all the teams that were in the conversation, like Carolina, no plan whatsoever. Like Atlanta, got to move on eventually. Like this whole Deshaun Watson situation makes me extremely uncomfortable because they're just like, oh, no criminal charges, okay, it's over. No, none of the rest of it matters. Um, I'm happy that this is finally over, and he's going to go to Cleveland. Assuming, and we don't have to talk about him, and we don't have to talk about him to where he's going to get traded because nothing was more frustrated than every week some expert talking about like before the trade deadline last season, like where's John Watson going to get traded? He's going to get traded to Miami. He's going to get traded to Carolina. This is finally over. Like I don't have to listen to people speculate on where Deshaun Watson's going to get traded anymore because it's over. It's done. He's going to be a Cleveland Brown, and as long as he's probably going to be facing a 4-game suspension. The precedent here is 4 games. Ben Roethlisberger got suspended for 4 games. No charges were filed against him. Zeke Elliott was suspended for 4 games. He didn't face any charges either. So I think there will be a 4-game suspension before coming here. I don't know what the league will think about the fact that he sat out all of last year. I don't know if they'll factor that in as like a time served kind of thing, and maybe just spend him game checks. But I'm glad this is just I'm glad that the Deshaun Watson saga is for now. Like,
yeah, it's. I mean, like I know for a fact that even if he proclaimed even if he proclaimed his innocence throughout the whole thing, I guarantee you well, I can't guarantee because I've never been through something that serious, but I'm willing to bet he's sleeping a hell of a lot better at night,
oh,
knowing that if it ain't over, it's coming close to an end, and he'll deal. I think he's gonna take this one step at a time. Like once he gets through the civil stuff, the court stuff, then he'll deal with the NFL stuff. Like just take because he'll drive himself crazy. Excuse me, he'll drive himself crazy thinking about damn, I got criminal stuff, I got civil stuff, and I got team stuff, and I got league stuff to deal with. Like he drive himself crazy if he just worried about that all and personal stuff. Cause like forget what he thinks. His reputation is forever. It's gone. His rep is gone.
I think the NFL also has a hard time. It's like the NFL just I guess doesn't care about the civil cases. Like it doesn't feel like a lot of these teams care about this. Like it's just I think the NFL will be very happy when Deshaun Watson this whole situation is over. Deshaun Watson whatever situation works itself out. They're probably going to suspend him, and then they want to move on from this Deshaun Watson, the blackness, like the ugliness of this situation. And Cleveland, if you don't win a Super Bowl now, you're cursed.
You ain't gonna.
You're never going to win a Super Bowl. Never. Let's talk about this on the Houston Texans side of this. Because I think, Watson going to Cleveland, he's going to have the best offensive line he's ever had. This team is defensive talented. Amari Cooper, they have a really good running game. Like this is as talented a team as there is in the AFC by far.
Yeah, you're hoping what's the time Njoku. You're hoping Njoku takes that step forward that you're hoping to take.
Harrison Bryant
That you
too.
like right now you traded for Austin Hooper because Njoku had some injury issues and you kind of felt like his game wasn't where it needed to be for him to be tight end number one in Cleveland, which is why you traded for Austin Hooper.
Well, they
You
released
trade
him, so
and now you released him, so he's gone.
well I know they like
Odell,
Harrison Bryant, so
eh, like you tried to blame Odell, he's gone. Right, Odell's not there anymore. Jarvis Landry gone, he's not there anymore. All right, you still got the best running back duo in football. I don't think it's close either.
I would agree with you on that. I don't think that gap between whoever the second team is pretty far. Pretty.
I don't think it's close. So like you said, it's now or never. It's now or never.
So on the Houston
So
Texans side
yeah,
of this, so they're gonna have 2 first round picks, one in the top 4, and then I think the Cleveland pick is in the 15s, somewhere in the teens. What do you do? Do you roll with Davis Mills at least this season and see what you could do? See if you end up what happens after this season, or do you take a quarterback now, like at 15? Or I don't think you take one at 4. But
no, you
what
don't
what
take
is the
one
strategy for the Houston Texans going into just this draft? And like,
again.
what do you do?
Again, it's gonna be another season of what was like I was this past season. All right, if you go young quarterback again, all right, you can Davis Mills can give you whatever young quarterback you get. Davis Mills is gonna he can be better than that. So you don't. The problem is you don't want to be in the same situation again, but you're gonna be in the same situation again regardless. Whether you go young quarterback or stick with Davis Mills, you gotta. I mean, obviously you gotta hit on these draft picks, right? You're getting a king. I wouldn't call it a king's ransom because I just got a notification saying Cleveland wanted a first for Baker Mayfield, and somebody had to tell him, like, bro, like, have y'all seen the guy play? Like, what about Baker Mayfield
Did
thinks
you see that?
y'all
See that video I sent?
think?
They sent in the chat.
Yeah, like, what about Baker Mayfield thinks y'all like that he's worth a first round pick? Like the guy, you lucky you got three. You lucky you got that. What you got? So it's insane. So if you're Houston, you got to hit on these picks. Right? Like it don't matter that you got three firsts, a third, a 2023 third, and two fourths. If you don't hit on the picks, you got to hit on them, right? You got to produce. All right, you got a coach in who the hell is new here? Lovey
Lovie
Smith,
Smith. How dare you? How dare you forget about Lovey?
right? Because what
It's all
like
good.
your
I'm just
track,
giving you a hard time, man.
like no,
Like,
like your track record is not your track record ain't retention for coaches ain't good in
no,
Houston, right?
horrible.
So so you fired one coach because he won what they win 4 games by the
Yeah,
by the grace of
they overachieved and they get fired.
by the grace of God he won 4 games and then you fire him. So what happens when Lovey wins 4 games or maybe less? You gonna
Probably
fire
less.
him too?
I mean, who knows, man? I mean,
You gonna fire him too? Like so then you're gonna be in the same boat again, right? Like Houston has a lot going on, right? Like I even had one guy I went to high school with say like he's deep into that conspiracy theory stuff. Like the Houston Texans plotted this against Deshaun Watson. I'm like, so wait. With a straight face, you gonna sit here and say they called 22 random females and called them and paid them to say Deshaun Watson did some kind of sexual misconduct against them. He's like, I wouldn't put it past him. I'm like, bro, get off my phone, talking that nonsense.
let's move on to the other side of this trade. It's the Baker Mayfield element. He's clearly done in Cleveland. But with the Watson trade, Baker Mayfield's future Browns very much in doubt. Sure. Will the team trade him? What is even his value? And then on the other hand, is if they can't find a trade partner for him because the trade partners are drying up. Like this is kind of a conversation with Jimmy Garoppolo too. Like where like those guys that are for sure going to be like Jimmy Garoppolo was for sure going to get traded, but now the destination for him to get traded to are drying up. If they can't trade him, would the Browns release Baker? And where do you think are potential landing spots for Baker for this season?
That's a good question. I don't know,
I mean
right?
the Jimmy Garoppolo thing. Like, where is he going to get traded?
Well, we like Jimmy G was linked to Tampa. Jimmy was linked to Pittsburgh.
That
Jimmy
doesn't
was
seem very.
linked
That doesn't seem going to happen now.
right, like all the Jimmy was linked to the Colts. Like all these spots that Jimmy Garoppolo was linked to have, yeah, they've made other moves. Hell, even Baker was linked to Indianapolis.
Yeah, and then they decided to go with Matt Ryan over Baker Mayfield. I think the one place that Baker's been kind of linked to is Seattle. Um, so I mean, you have got that 5th year option. So you have control over him at least this season, and I think he'd be an unrestricted free agent next season or restricted free agent next season. So if you're Seattle, you could potentially trade like a 3rd round pick or something like that. I'm not giving up anything real value for Baker Mayfield.
Yo, Baker,
This is the thing. This is
he
the thing that Cleveland's kind of put them in a tough spot. They can ask whatever they want for him, right? They're like, oh hey, I want a 1st round pick, but teams know that you have to trade him away because he can't
right,
stay on the roster.
and that's if this trade goes through because right now they picked up his option.
Yeah,
Like his 5th year option is still on their books. So as of right, until it is like legit finalized and everything is signed, Baker Mayfield is still the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, right? Like, you say like, and to your point, like they did it to themselves, right? He writes this emotional letter, this goodbye letter, saying Cleveland, thank you, yeah, yeah, woo, woo, all the best, but you're uncertain of the trade that you have on the table. And what's crazy is Baker Mayfield was not mentioned in the aforementioned trade, right? Baker and which is insane. Like all that stuff that we said about the Deshaun Watson trade, Baker Mayfield's name was nowhere near it.
I mean, if you're, we talked about this when we talked to, like last week when we did the. I don't remember what we were talking about, but I could get whatever I could get. Davis Mills can give me what Baker gave me. Like I don't
Period.
need to trade. I don't need to trade for Baker Mayfield. Like I just don't need to. Like I think Davis Mills might have more upside than Baker Mayfield at this point. Um,
So
but his trade
what like
value. I mean, Browns. Yeah, they dug themselves in a hole here. Even, like Deshaun Watson. Let's say everything gets done. They, teams know like, hey, this is the team that's going to have to trade Baker Mayfield away because he can't stay on the team with Deshaun Watson. So we're not going to give you anything valuable. We're not giving you a 1st round pick. Get out of here. What are you crazy?
not to mention like his stature, his size has been an issue. He can't stay healthy, right?
Yeah,
He's had
I mean, he's really only missed 6 games
so
over the
like
course
okay,
of his career. Like he started every game
and a
last
lot
season.
of
He
that
started not last season. 2 years ago, he
the
started every
season
game.
before,
The year after that, he started every game. His rookie season,
and
he started all but one
and
game.
all they do with that is like like they hype him up like oh he's tough as nails, he's out, and then when he comes up short, he can't make a throw. Well, he had a shoulder issue. He had this wrong. He has that wrong. Then he shouldn't be out there, right? Then
And
that's
I
when
mean,
it's
and then I mean, there's this. So he's had 2 really good seasons as a starting quarterback, and then he's had 2 god awful. So I mean, like you have to really like weigh in, like which Baker Mayfield are we going to get from season to season? We're going to get the guy who broke Peyton Manning's rookie records, or are we going to get the guy who beat Pittsburgh in the playoffs, or are we going to get the guy who was 22 of 20, through 21? Wait, hold on, 22 touchdowns,
you're right.
21 picks in 2019, or this guy who like basically wasn't efficient at all and didn't play particularly well, had the lowest completion percentage of his career last season. Which of these guys are we gonna get?
So and again, I always harken back to hell, even like the greats. Like you want to know what makes Aaron Rodgers so great? He's been doing this for like there has no down season. His down year would be Baker Mayfield's career year, right? The year he threw like 21-2 and he played in like he missed a bunch of games. Aaron Rodgers, that would be Baker Mayfield's career year. You want to know what makes Tom Brady so great? He does it year in and year out. There is no good year, bad year, bad year, bad year, good year, bad year. Good, like there is no up and down roller coaster. What you see is what you get. And unfortunately, Baker, this is year 5 for you. We know what you are. And unfortunately, you're more of the latter. Because if you couldn't produce with the most talented roster in football, what are you going to do with a lesser talented roster, right? Aaron Rodgers threw 45 touchdowns with one star receiver. Can you imagine if he had the roster that Baker had in Cleveland?
uh,
Like, come on, like we know what Baker, and it's his story. His story is great. I love his story. You know, probably been told his whole life he's too small, and he says, you know what, I'm gonna show you. Right? He goes to Texas Tech, D1 program, walks on, makes the roster, makes the team, doesn't get cut, makes the team, and starts for him. Right? Then he decides like, nah, I'm better than this. Transfers to Oklahoma, like one of the premier, one of the blue bloods
yeah,
of college football, right? Not only does he walk on, not only does he make the roster, not only does he become the starting quarterback of the Oklahoma Sooners, he wins the Heisman. He wins the Heisman, takes you to the college football playoff, and gets drafted number one overall. His story is great. His story is great. Like, they make movies out of the shit Baker Mayfield has done.
yeah. 44. I mean, his final season in Oklahoma. I mean, 43-6, 4,600 passing yards, like a 70% completion percentage. Like his season was so good, he became the first overall pick. When nobody thought he had a chance of being the first
Nobody thought
overall
he
pick
had
at
a
any point.
chance.
Like, yeah.
Nobody
So
thought
I
he had
mean,
a chance.
but I
So,
still think there's talent there. I mean, this guy was the first overall pick, and like, if I'm Seattle, I'm like, hey, Cleveland,
hey,
I'll
I'll
give
give
you
you
a
a
fourth
third.
round pick.
I'll give you a
I'll give
third.
you a third. Like, I'll give you a third. Like, I'll give you a third this year, and I'll give you a conditional fifth next year. Um, and I think if you're Seattle, I think you're like if you really liked Baker Mayfield in the draft process years ago, like, and maybe that make him have him be your quarterback. I mean, what else you got? I mean, I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense to take a quarterback in this draft, anyways. Especially when you have all the other holes all over the place on your team, anyways. Like,
Now
if
the
you can
other
get Baker Mayfield pretty cheap,
now
like
the other
I would
question
also love
is,
to, I would also love for you to find me another spot for him besides Seattle.
I'm, I'm trying to think. Like Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh. Like, obviously, you're not going to trade them in division, which is why Seattle ain't called San Francisco about Jimmy Garoppolo, right? So like
Probably.
um so like we already said Houston, but I can get what Davis Mills gets. Like Davis Mills can give me what Baker Mayfield does. We said that. Um, what's not
Lions,
Atlanta? Nah. Like give me Jared Goff.
Carolina.
Okay, we don't know. Like we Carolina. We don't know the plan.
I don't
Like
think
we don't know the
I don't think the Carolina Panthers are going to
like
play.
like we don't know the plan. Like are you gonna bring Cam back? Are you
Let me
sticking
let's
with
just go through this. Okay, let's just go through this. Okay. Buffalo, no. Miami, no.
no
Cleveland, no. New York, no. Baltimore, no. Cincinnati, no. Cleveland, no. Pittsburgh, no. Houston, no. India, Colts, no. Jaguars, no. Titans, no. Titans, maybe.
Titans
Denver
maybe?
Broncos. Denver Broncos, no. Kansas City, hell no. Las Vegas Raiders, no. Los Angeles
No,
Chargers, hell no.
no,
Cowboys, no. Giants, very weak, maybe. Eagles, maybe. Commanders, no. Bears, no. Lions, maybe. Packers, no.
no,
Vikings, no. Falcons,
no,
no. Panthers, maybe. Saints, no. Buccaneers, no. Cardinals, no. Rams, no. 49ers, no. Seahawks, maybe. There are not a lot of places to trade a quarterback
and we
like
got
Baker Mayfield,
and we
or
got two
this also
guys.
applies to Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy,
So we got two guys. We got two guys that like they in the same boat, right? Like
yeah,
Jimmy Garoppolo's saving grace is he can literally point to, and we don't know what's happening to him because San Francisco has neither, excuse me, traded him away, cut him, done anything. As of right, if the season was to start tomorrow, Jimmy Garoppolo would be the starting quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers. Point blank, plain and simple.
and he's earned
But
that. I mean, the guy at least like Jimmy Garoppolo at least has sustained success. I mean, his record with Kyle Shanahan is through the roof. Like they might
that's
be
so exactly. So Jimmy G can say, "Hey, Since this guy has been my head coach, my record is this. Like his record is this when I'm his starting quarterback, and it's this when I'm not his starting quarterback. I've gone to what two NFC championships. I've been to one Super Bowl. Right, I had a lead in that Super Bowl. This guy Baker is going. If he gets traded to a new team, that's going to be 5 head coaches in 5 years. So if you have to act like I think most teams are asking, if I have to choose between Jimmy G and Baker Mayfield, who do you like? Who would you rather have? Because Baker Mayfield hasn't really set himself that far apart from the likes of a Jimmy G.
No, he hasn't. Not I'm sure it doesn't. He hasn't.
Like unless your name is Skip Bayless and you think Baker Mayfield can't do no wrong and like yeah, it is what it is. Like I don't know what he's gonna do. I don't know what teams are gonna do. Like you said, like the
I
options
honestly,
are limited.
I like thinking about this more and more. Like every time, like we always like every time we talk about Jimmy Garoppolo was like always going to get traded for sure. I'm not so sure anymore. And when it comes to Baker Mayfield, I'm not so sure he gets traded either. Um, do you think he will get released if somebody doesn't trade for him before now and the start of training camp? Because I think you cannot have these two guys in training camp. That's just my honest opinion. I could be wrong.
I
Do
mean,
you
like
think there's a
it
scenario where Baker Mayfield gets released from the Browns?
I mean, you would have to you got to consider it because you can't say like look what he it's I liken it to what Aaron Rodgers did, like this whole last dance nonsense of like that posting that and him talking like I don't want to go through a rebuild and woo woo just for him to come back. Right? It's gonna be a bad look for Cleveland if they traded for a guy in Deshaun Watson and he writes this goodbye letter and you don't not only do you not get Deshaun Watson but you have to bring him back. So like you did all of that just to bring him back, and you wrote this goodbye stuff just to come back. So
I mean,
I
also what Baker Mayfield could represent for Cleveland is an insurance policy. Like if let's say Deshaun Watson gets suspended, you have Baker Mayfield. He's already under contract. You could just play him. Like because they traded away Case Keenum earlier this week.
they
So he's not even available to
and
be the backup now. So like
because if you were really done with him, if you were really done with Baker Mayfield, guess what you don't do? You don't pick up his 5th year option. You let him walk.
yeah,
Right? You
yeah.
can you can literally say, all right, Baker, it's been 4 years. We have not only have we got like we haven't gotten better, but we also haven't gotten worse, and that's the worst that's the worst place you can be in any sport is mediocre. 500, like that's the worst thing you can be. Like good enough to win sometimes, and bad and like you win the games you win, you lose the games you're supposed to lose. Like that's the worst place to be in sports. And after 4 years of that, you can literally say, "All right, Baker, thank you, but it was fun. Thank you for your service. Peace." But you picked up his 5th year option, and so you did this to yourself. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I think it'll be very interesting to see what happens with Baker Mayfield, where he ends up playing football in 2022. I do not believe it'll be Cleveland. It's an interesting conundrum to the Cleveland Browns have done to themselves. And I also will be extremely interested to see what the Jimmy Garoppolo situation. Moving on, some other notable moves. Just Robert Woods traded to the Titans. Matthew Stafford signs an extension that should make him retire in Los Angeles for the Rams. Unique Ngakwe traded to the Colts, and a very interesting duo at the line position. And then Jack Mason traded to the Buccaneers for a fifth round pick. Um, any of these notable moves kind of jump out to you before we
yeah,
wrap up?
yeah. Robert Woods to the Titans. That's you only got him like you only have to give up a 6th round pick for him. I mean, he's also coming off an ACL injury. Matt Stafford signing that extension, that shouldn't surprise nobody. It really shouldn't. Like it shouldn't. Like you just won
I
a
mean,
Super Bowl
if
with
you win a
the
Super Bowl for the team, you usually get it.
All
He's
right,
basically
like
$60 million signing bonus. Um, yeah,
so
3 years,
Yannick
$129 million.
Yannick Ngakwe is a dude who had like a lot of promise coming out of college, and it just for some reason it just hasn't he
He,
hasn't
he's
found a
he was
home.
he's been good. He was good last season next to Max Crosby. But when you sign Taylor Jones, Nick Ngakwe becomes expendable. And when you have holes in your secondary, Colts are looking to trade Rocky Sin, who's a starting caliber corner. That's how.
And obviously, the Shaq Mason that trade, him getting traded to the Bucks, that can't be not talked about. Like especially when you consider Ali Marpet retired, he feel
Yeah,
like he can literally slide right into that starting spot. Them keeping
they only had to give him a fifth-round pick for a guy who's going to start. Like that's
like
that's a like is doing Bill Belichick's just like, oh, Tom Brady's coming back. Let me help him out. Let me give him Shaq Mason for literally nothing. Like
like I think the bigger notable move for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is them re-signing Ryan Jensen. I think that's way bigger than them trading for
well,
Shaq
I
Mason.
only put trades and extensions in this list. We're gonna do a
No,
whole
no,
free
no,
agent
no, no,
show
no, no,
tomorrow.
no, no. I'm not saying that like to you. I'm just saying like for them as an organization. I think that move was bigger than this one. Um, I'm trying to like it was some more stuff that happened
And I mean,
today.
they were also able to sign Chris Godwin to a real contract as opposed to playing him on the
To
franchise tag. Like, good for them.
like now, like see what happens. Like see that's why and it should say a lot about how certain organizations run their show when I hate to take a shot at Green Bay, but no, I don't. You tag a guy who's been, you know, basically healthy. He's missed
Yeah,
a handful of games throughout 8 years of his career. He's missed a handful of games, and Devontae Adams, and you tag him, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers sign a guy who's coming off an ACL injury to a 3-year deal.
yeah,
But
worth
you're gonna
$40 million guaranteed money. Like that's
like that says a lot about how you run your show, right? And you might have to do some soul searching.
I tend to agree with you. We're gonna do a whole free agency show tomorrow. We're gonna break down some of the winners and losers of free agency. Talk about the notable free agents still on the market out there.
But you
Little teaser. Cincinnati Bengals are a big winner for me. Just
yeah,
stay
like
tuned for
Kylie.
that content tomorrow. I love what Cincinnati's done this offseason. Absolutely love
Hey, I just got a real quick hyper. So you got another quarterback who is probably not. If he ain't on the hot seat now, he's definitely going to be throughout the season next year. Ryan Tannehill. Right?
it. Okay.
Is it too far fetched to think Ryan Tannehill gets moved?
Before this season,
Yeah, or like
I mean,
I think next season. I think next season, like the 2023, for sure, he's gone. Right? I think
if they don't host the Lombardi Trophy, or if they don't get better, significantly better, I think Ryan Tannehill. He might. I don't even know what his contract.
I think Ryan. I legit think Tannehill's gone. I think it's like you said, like his only saving grace is if the Titans, and it's not like it's out of the realm of possibility when you say Titans hosting the Lombardi because they have a team that can do it, right? It's just
Yeah, I mean they have a good defense. They have Derrick Henry. So he next season will. So next season he has one more season after next season under his current contract, and so it's potential that he could. I mean they could cut him, like have an $18 million cap or trade him. Um, I guess we'll see.
I mean, I'm not saying if you're like that's one thing to keep an eye on. Like if you're the Cleveland Browns and this Deshaun Watson thing falls through, right? Like, would you flip Baker for Ryan Tannehill? Would you flip would you even entertain that?
I sure. I think if Baker Mayfield can't stay in Cleveland because of all this nonsense, then yeah, probably.
Okay.
But
And
we'll
I was
see. We're gonna be breaking down some crazy stuff tomorrow. I've been David
and
Huffman right there.
the
PJ Happy.
and the last thing Baker Mayfield needs is to get traded to the Giants.
Go to New York and have fun.
That is the last place he needs to go. Like
But
he
yeah, I've
just,
been David Huffman right there, Mr. TJ Hopkins. And TJ, what would you hit the prime, my friend?
we bring the heat, and I'm sad because it was 70 degrees today, and it's gonna drop all the way down to like 42 tomorrow, and I just want us to live someplace where the weather is like consistent year round.
I
Uh,
agree with you. I love the weather that's outside right now. I hate when it gets really really warm, and I hate when it gets too cold. So
really, yeah, yeah. That's why I can't wait to move to Arizona, man. It's just desert year round, and I'm gonna love it.
maybe I'll probably for sure come out there and visit you. But yeah,
Oh, for sure.
this has been the Prime Sports World. We'll see you guys tomorrow for our free agency show. You guys all have a good day, and I will see you guys later. And hopefully your bracket isn't on life support like mine, because
Oh man,
my brackets.
my bracket is just as all of my brackets are just absolutely shredded.
Yeah.
Like my Gonzaga bracket probably has like a barely a double digit accuracy percentage. My all the bracket I entered for Christian's contest, like that was my Auburn bracket. Auburn had was my champion. They just got their ass kicked last night, so I'm like, thanks for that. So
Yeah, so
I'm just
I'm sorry for everybody's bracket. If you have the Peacocks, well, if you say you had the Peacocks, you're lying. Nobody had that.
I
So,
swear you're lying.
all right, I swear. I'll see you later, man. Peace out, brother.